What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Today is very, very nice. Very summery. High temperature. Very hot. But the humidity is fine. So I want to try a beer. Taj Mahal Premium. Right. Taj Mahal Premium. It's a premium lager beer. I don't know why they spell lager with an A. Who came up with that? Must have been a guy drinking beer, because that should be L-O-G-E-R. L-O-G-E-R. I mean, you don't want to confuse it with a lager chopping down trees, so you don't put two G's, but lager, L-O. Why do you need an A in there? Or leave a blank space so people can just fit in whatever sound they want to make that whatever that A is in there, but it should be blank. I would have an O. I would have an O. Lager beer. So this is 1 pint and 6 fluid ounces beyond that. 65 milliliters. And I have a somewhere in here. Here it is. One of these bottle openers. So nice and cold. Clean glass. A couple of drops of water from cleaning it. Get rid of all that. Oh yeah, that's looks like a good beer. Made in India. Hence the name Taj Mahal. Look at that. That's a good beer. Just looking at it, I can tell. Very cold. It's probably like 37 degrees, 30, 35 around there. Cheers. Exceptional. That's a good beer. Nice and cold. Wow, that is a good beer. That goes with steak, chicken. Goes with different things, but it even goes with the heat. And right now it's warm out, hot. So F flat. You hear that? That's F flat. So I have my little ball here. Tachikara. So this is the official volleyball, SV5WS. And I'll tell you, I used to play volleyball when I was younger, when I was in my prime. But mainly when I was really young, you know, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, those years, those nice years, this was a kickball. So kickball, for those that are born after 1999, right, is similar to baseball. The only difference is you kick this rather than use a bat to hit the little ball with. And I was really good at this game. I know it's not recognized as a you know, an international sport, but it should be. It should be. So basically you had somebody roll this to you, and there were no trick rolls. You could do just fast and slow, right? But you couldn't do curve, sinker, you couldn't do any of that. So you'd roll it, and there were no strikes. Nobody said, oh, he missed it, he didn't kick it right. And, you know, you just kept trying until you got it, right? At least in my neighborhood, there were no fouls or, you know, whatever. And so they'd roll the ball coming at you at like, I don't know, 18 miles an hour, maybe less, maybe 14, right? And then you'd run, and if you timed it just right, you would kick this thing and it would go far. And I was really good at this. I was, like I said before in other videos, I would get picked first if it came to this and a few other sports. And I enjoyed kickball. And I remember one specific time, I don't know why this one just stuck into my memory, but it was in the 70s, and I was over at my friend's house. I had a friend named Paul, and he had a couple of sisters, and his father had converted the backyard into a play area. You know, it was like all concrete, and the grass was further up, and we could play kickball in that concrete area. And I remember I looked at I had a watch on back then, and I said, oh, okay, I'm going to play this round here, and then I got to go. And the reason I had to go was because Happy Days was on. So it was Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, and I was still out playing. Delicious. So anyway, there was a light in the back there in the yard, and so it was bright. And I remember the ball rolling to me, and I gave it a good kick. And I could just, in my mind, like I'm playing the film back, the ball was climbing. It was one of those high, you know, climbing ones. And for a second, I thought my friend was gonna catch it, but he didn't. He dropped it. All right, and I ran around. It was like a home run. All right, and then I said immediately, without stopping, I went to home base, and then immediately I ran off, and I said, I gotta go. Gotta watch Happy Days. That's how popular that show was back then. Happy Days, and then Laverne and Shirley. I love both those shows. I love that time period, you know, 50s, early 60s. There's something that I can't describe it in words. I know though that the 50s were never completed, so you know, but I like that time period. The style, people, you know, it's just a whole different style. The greasers were around. Then we ended up with the hippies. You know, where'd that come from? But I remember the 50s, clean-cut greasers for the most part. They had the thin ties. And then after 64, something changed. You know, it's like the country went on a different tangent, you know, different trajectory. And it was kind of like when the Beatles started experimenting with weird sounds for their music, the country changed along with them. I don't know if it's a coincidence or they were that influential, but that's what happened. And I like stories that take place in the 50s, early 60s. Matter of fact, when I go to Williams, Arizona, and this is years and years and years ago, a long time ago, but one day I was walking in Williams, and there was a quiet little house, and the curtains, I don't think they were curtains. If they were drawn back. And there was a kitchen, and the windows were like probably 4.5 feet off the ground, somewhere around there, 5 feet, right, the window. And as I'm walking by, I turn my head and I look, and there's a woman in there. She's young, you know, probably in her 20s, and there's a baby in a crib right nearby, and she's ironing. And it looked to me, the way she was dressed and the way she was ironing, it looked like the year was 1955 or 56, right around there. Very, very, you know, 50-ish looking time. And it just made me nostalgic. I was like, that really looks like the old days. Now, that was so long ago that baby today is probably walking around with a cane. Very long time ago. So yeah, but we did play volleyball with this. But this was, for me, I see it now, and it brings me back to kickball. And that we called it squash. I don't know if that was correct or if somebody just thought it was squash, but we called it squash. So you throw the ball up with this hand if you were a righty, and then you would either hit it, let the mama's boy go home, give his mama a kiss on the cheek there. But you could hit it this way, you could hit it this way, depending, you know, whatever way you wanted to hit it to avoid the ball from, prevent the ball from being caught, right? So I was good at this too. I would hit it and run around, and it was similar like baseball, except you would, you know, pounce it this way or this way. Now this way, it almost guaranteed that they would catch the ball. Well, this one here was like a spike, and it would go in an angle down. It was hard to get a grab of it or get a hold of it. Very hot. Drink responsibly. The main thing is don't drink and drive. You know, unnecessary. Now I'm just having one, but if you were to have many, stay at home. Don't get in the vehicle. If you need something, call up Uber, right? They can bring you somewhere, or they can deliver stuff to you. You don't have to go anywhere if you've had too much or above what you should have. 1 or 2 beers, that's all. You know, you have too much, it makes it like disgusting after. You know, with beer and any kind of alcohol, the smaller amounts are better for you. You know, too much, you know, that's when issues arise in your life. You gotta learn that lesson before you get into that lesson. You know, you have to learn it from someone else. You shouldn't be the one. You know, that's the way I look at it. So anyway, that, and what else did we play? Relivio. Relivio is a big thing for me. Nobody plays Relivio anymore. Very sad. But that was a big thing growing up. Like, we invented ways to entertain ourselves. Now they have games on the iPhone. So yeah, and then I was watching a little basketball earlier. Celtics versus New York Knicks there. I enjoy basketball. I used to watch a lot of basketball where, you know, it was part of my life. But, you know, I'd say a good 10 years, and then I got over it. You know, then you know what happens is your favorite players retire, and then you guys come in, and they're not that good, and you're having a hard time now getting interested in the game again. So that's what happened to me, and I kind of dropped it. But every once in a while, I will watch a game, and I enjoy it. Like today, I just like basketball. I really, really like that basketball. My salute to Bob Cousy. I'm a big fan of Bob Cousy's. Bob Cousy was a decent man, you know, great player, good speed, good control of the ball, and he's still alive. Still alive, Bob Cousy. Love Dr. J, amazing athlete. He invented the slam dunk. I mean, you know, other guys did it before him, but he brought it to a new level. Will Chamberlain, big fan of his, very strong man. You know, he's like a 747 jet. Larry Bird, big fan of Larry Bird's. I met Larry Bird, very nice guy. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. I know people debate greatest of all time. My opinion, and this is just my opinion, Michael Jordan, greatest of all time. He's from my time, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I see him as the best of all time. Great player all around, good style. You know, some people disagree, but the people that disagree did not live through his time. Right? They're young now. They weren't around back then. Hey, you know, a lot of it's subjective. A lot of it is your opinion, what you value. For me, Michael Jordan. Let me see, who else did I like from the old days? Kareem, Magic. And, you know, lesser known guys too, but there was something about the game back in the 80s that was very, very entertaining. Trying to think. I like Tiny Archibald. Yeah, I like that. Robert Parrish. Dennis Johnson. Great player. Great player. Who else do we have that sticks out? You know, I couldn't stand. I mean, I told you a few people I could stand. I could not stand that Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer. That guy was a weasel, man. Just cheap shots constantly. And maybe that was just the way he was during the game, but I suspect he was probably that way off the court as well, but who knows. Well, I didn't know him personally. It's not like I hung around with Bill Laimbeer. But Bill Laimbeer, man, he was a very, very big pain in the ass. I like Rodman. You know, I just like the style there. Very physical player. So I loved watching basketball. I would go and turn the TV on, get like a snack on the side, and I mean, truly enjoying it. I mean, it wasn't like I was forcing myself. I gotta watch this boring game. I loved every second of it. Every second of you know, the basket. It didn't matter what game it was. It could have been an exhibition game. I really enjoyed it. But when the playoffs came around, I was in super hot mode. I would be up there, you know, telling the TV what to do, and then I'd be very excited in my head, thinking about the night when the game was, you know, like maybe it was like series tied 2-2 or something, or 4-2, even worse, against your team. Yeah, so I met Larry Bird, and I was on my bike at my nice, I had a Huffy back then, Huffy, and I went to the place where they would practice, because I would go there a lot, and it was summertime, and he was there. I recognized him because it looked like Larry, and I said, that's Larry Bird, and I did a few spins trying to get like confidence to approach, and I finally said, you know what, he's playing tennis, what am I going to do, jump in there by the net and start yelling at him and, hey, I want to meet you? So I left. He was still playing, and then I went about a mile, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I'm never going to see this opportunity again. Am I going to find him at the house? He's going to, you know, show up at his house. I don't be in the driveway. I don't do that, right? So I turned around, and I kept thinking, now I'm like really anxious. I'm thinking, I hope he's still there. I really want to talk to him. I went there, and he was there, except he finished playing tennis, and apparently that was his girlfriend or something back then. I don't know if they married after, or if it was his wife back then even. This is 1985. 84 maybe, I think it was 84, 1984. So he was sitting in his, I think he had a Bronco, he had some kind of SUV back then, and he's sitting in it, and his girlfriend is not there, so I got a perfect opportunity. So I pull up next to him by the window, we start talking, small talk, how you doing? And I even asked him, guys, I think you're gonna win the championship this year, and he said, I sure hope so. So that was basically it, and his girlfriend was inside using the restrooms, and then I left. And I'm glad I did that, because I never had an opportunity like that again. Never had an opportunity like that. So you have to take the opportunity when it arises, otherwise it may not come. May not come again. I see a big plane in the sky. I'll tell you this right now, the way it's moving, that means that LAX is backed up, because it's in a circular mode, so it's doing loops to get clearance to land. Yeah, there's nothing down. I mean, it's doing a thing like this, so. Put it down here. I have my radio here. I'm a big radio guy. I love the radio. Not just music. I like all kinds of radio. Information radio, talk radio, you know, political, doesn't matter. I listen to everything. I listen to all opinions. I don't have a fear of listening to an opinion I disagree with. A lot of people do, but I don't. I listen to everything. But I also like neutral radio, where it's just, you know, small talk. How you doing? I'm fine. What'd you do today? I had pizza. So I get into that radio, the radio bug. First, the radio bug for music bit me early on in life, and I would sit there and listen to the radio all day long. And then after that, I go, let me see what's on AM. My father liked the AM. You know, he had a DJ or a talk show guy he liked, and I, you know, find this a cool coincidence. I actually became friends with that guy's son when I was in high school. So I used to listen to that guy as a kid. My father would say, "Hey, let's go fishing or something," and we'd get up early in the morning, leave the house by 4, and he'd put that guy on. The guy was on early. And then later on, when I went to high school, I became friends with his son. And they looked the same, only one was younger. So, but anyway, I listened to a lot of radio, and when I was about 13, somewhere around there, I started listening to talk radio a lot. Still listening to the music, have to listen to that, but also at night I would listen to talk radio. And there was a guy on at night that was just, keeping it light, just random discussions about daily things that would happen, nothing specific. And I liked listening to him. He was on 10 to 2, 10 o'clock at night, 2 a.m. Sometimes, and I'd have it extra low, it was right by my bed so I could hear it, but sometimes sound would travel, and my father, he would hear it. Oh, there's something going on here. Hold on. Nothing really. So I'd have it low on, but at nighttime sound travels. When it's nice and peaceful, you can hear like chit chatter, and my father would hear that. My father was like a vampire. He'd wake up and he'd open up the door, and without even knowing if I'm awake, he would say, "Turn that down, shut it off." I go, "All right." The door would wake me up, but if the door didn't wake me up, I wouldn't be awake to hear him say, "Turn it down, shut it off." So I would shut it off, and the next night again, that was kind of like my brain was used to that, so I couldn't fall asleep unless I had talk radio going in the background. Now I don't want to hear anything in the background. I mean, it could be like the window open and cars going by, I don't care about that, but I can't have music going and go to sleep. I find that kind of like what's the word there, annoying me. Yeah, that annoys me at night when I'm trying to sleep. I want it to be quiet. I don't mind background noise, maybe a bird chirping, flying by, trying to find its nest at night. Something like that does not bother me. But if I had, like Twisted Sister, singing on the radio, I keeps me up. So I love radio. I love listening to different people. I used to stay up and mess around at night on the dial, where you can get a lot further out, because I think the signal bounces off the ionosphere or stratosphere, bounces off higher up at night, and it spreads over the country, like Wolfman Jack back in the old days when he was in Mexico. I think he was transmitting 250,000 watts of power, and it would go all the way to New York. People could hear him from Mexico. Now the law is that it can't be more than 50,000 watts. So back then he was at 250,000 watts. Now big stations, 50,000, that's max. So I have a radio here. It's in this container, right? See that little beautiful radio in there? Solar. I got it solar. I'm in the desert. Something happens. I want to catch up on the news. Right? Sun all day in the desert. The desert in the summertime will beat you to death. That sun is really strong. And it has a compass up top. Right there. Light. So it's a good survival radio. And right here, you could, if it's nighttime and you don't have the sun out, you could get the energy going with this little here generator. So spinning around, you can get the latest. This is the kind of radio they should have had on Gilligan's Island, right? So I love this radio. You go somewhere, you bring this, and it's shortwave too, which means that I could be sitting here listening to Japan, Mongolia, Pakistan, right? So Nice, nice. Look at the antenna. Look at that. Love the radio. Ever since I was little. People say, what's your favorite radio station? Hands down, WBCN. Does not exist anymore, so that's, you know, I was surprised too. Went off the air. WBCN. WBCN. We'll put it away. And I take it with me when I go out, you know, hiking or something. It's good to have a CB with you and a walkie-talkie. Now they have the global ones. They, you know, if you got a friend of yours, he has the same one, you can talk to him. He could be in Brazil. He could be in Argentina down at the tip, right? So yeah, I love the radio. Yeah, it's beautiful out though. Beautiful. There's a slight breeze going this way. I can feel it. Tonight is a good night to go in the desert and just look at the stars. That was a good beer. Lager with an A. Gotta complain, it's gotta be an O. Right? It's not lager. I'm a big fan of Indian food. Indian food, I love Indian food. I didn't know, you know, when I was little about Indian food. I thought Indian food was some weird stuff like eyeballs and gonads and things like that. Not really. Really delicious food. That's what it really is. And I love spice, but they when you're talking spice, they got more than enough. A lot of spice in there. Very, very delicious. I mean, Pakistani food too was good. It's similar, but not exactly the same. But both countries, delicious food. I love that tandoori chicken, biryani, chicken curry. A lot of good stuff. Go there sometime and check out northern India. Go to Nepal. Go check out the mountains in Pakistan. Beautiful. I mean, it's just incredible. And then it makes me wonder, where did all this material come from? Where did it come from? Why does it exist at all? A very, very strange reality, you know, if you think about it. I mean, we are the universe come to life, really. We think of ourselves as something outside of the universe and popping up here, and what is this place? But we are the universe. We're animated versions of the universe. And you think about it, you know, just all the interesting things that exist inside of this universe. Mind-blowing. But where it came from, nobody knows. Nobody knows. The Big Bang Theory, to me, is a bit asinine. I think they may have to rethink that one down the line. They're finding things now that do not support the Big Bang Theory. But I may be wrong on that. But, you know, I mean, when you find galaxies at the event horizon that are fully formed, right? And you shouldn't be seeing that far back in time because, you know, those galaxies should not be as well formed as they are. That's an indication that the universe is way older and bigger than we thought. And if that's the case, that means that the Big Bang Theory may not be the way things happened. It may be that the universe in some form always existed, always. LAPD. That's pretty low. always doing loops, which means they're looking for somebody. I'm here. Found me? How you doing? So, might be that the universe has always been in some form, you know. And then when you got one side goes, it's like, you know, when you chop trees down for Christmas trees, right? You do like Switzerland or Sweden. They start here, they cut off the trees in 10 acres worth of land. Then the next year they do the following 10, and then 10, and then 10. And by the time they get back here, the trees are fully grown again. It takes about 7 years to get a full-size Christmas tree. And I think maybe that's the way the universe is. You got this massive, however big it is. I don't know if I believe in the infinity number either, but it's got to be something crazy. And what happens is you have a portion of it that is here, like where we are, the event horizon and beyond that. And then eventually everything expires, everything breaks down, but then you have another part of the universe that's just forming, and it's a cycle. So I don't think that, you know, we were, you know, like in a marble, and then there was an explosion, and then all of a sudden the explosion was, you know, billions of miles across, and then, you know, trillions of miles across, and before you know it, it was infinity. I don't know, that sounds like you don't know what you're talking about and you're making it up. What can I say? The helicopter's going around in circles. Let's see here. Got a little warm, I don't know. Got a little bit more in here. Should have an ice bucket, because it's warm out here and it warms up the beer. That's still good cold. So yeah, I always wonder, where did all this material come from? And if it's always been here, why is that the case? I mean, you know, it's just weird, very weird. And what about if there was nothing? There would be nothing to even know that there was nothing. It's a fascinating place. A lot of people, they don't think of that stuff. Like, the universe to them is something that does not apply to their thinking. Not in here. They don't think about it. Not that long ago, people thought that it was just, you know, our galaxy. And before that, they thought it was just the Milky Way. I mean, the Milky Way, the solar system. You know, and then every time we put better technology out into space, we realize that it's even bigger than we thought. There's more galaxies than we thought, and we're one of, if you want to believe the number, 2 trillion, and that may be a low estimate. You know, because we don't know the boundaries, we don't know where it ends. It's starting to get on my nerves. I think he's leaving. No. Yeah, so I think about it. I'm pretty fascinated with that subject. You know, it's basically all there is to be fascinated about. It's our own existence. I mean, this whole thing, where all this stuff came from, including us. You know, including us. Okay, you done with the search? I know they see me, they probably say, here's that guy again talking. They're looking for somebody. Maybe he's got to go get gas. I think that's it for him. Yeah, but it's, you know, and when I look at the night sky, like I said, when I look at the night sky, you're only seeing a little section of the galaxy, little section, you know, and it looks massive. And then you zoom out and you see galaxy, 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 you know, like a super cluster of galaxies, and that's just a dot. That's a nothing. But the space in between, you know, it looks crowded, but it's kind of lonely out there. Not that much going on because there's so much room in between things that, you know, it only looks busy from a distance. Close up, it looks like you're the only one around. But I wish in my lifetime we would find something out there that would be interesting, like intelligent life that's a couple of million years ahead of us. You can come down and fill in some gaps. Anyway, that is it. That is it for now. I may be back later, you never know. But for now, that's it. Ciao.